everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Cecil Manslaughter.
Luis Hernandez.
I'm in Fuego here.
Marsha Parker.
Here to do another Patreon request. This is the poll request that we received once upon a time, and we are here to finally fulfill the request for us to talk about the original Exorcist movie. I don't know why it ended up being put off for so long, but it's just because we're like, we've all seen this movie so many times, we wanted to focus on the ones that perhaps we hadn't seen. I don't know. No good reason. Let me just say that. So here we are to finally talk about this masterpiece of horror cinema, quite frankly. I think all of us agree on that point, but we'll see, I guess. So I'll start off and say I love this movie. It was the basis for a lot of stuff that came after it. I don't think it's the best horror movie of all time, like a lot of people do contend. I don't like the fact that everyone is like, this year's The Exorcist, or this generation's The Exorcist. I hate that stuff. I hate that. I like the movie for what it is, and that's how I feel about that. Susie?
Okay, you need to understand, and I know I brought this up to you months ago. I actually came across this video
Point at me.
of people, when the movie first came out, of people in the theater, and there was, I think it was a news broadcast or whatever, people coming out of the theater that had fainted, that had thrown up. You have to remember, just like I tell you with the Universal Monsters, you have to realize that this was the first of its fucking kind, okay? So people were fainting, even people on set, after seeing Linda Blair with her makeup, fainted. Because there was nothing else like it out there before. Okay, so yes, when people say, this generation's Exorcist, like, you have to understand what they're coming from that intensity and the...
those movies that they call the next generations, you know.
But you
know,
know,
they rarely
okay, but you understand what I'm saying, though, where you're like, it's a hype thing,
it demonstrates the importance of the movie.
Yes, for the time, it scared the crap out of so many people, and so many people, I'm sure the ones that are...
I know, but I wasn't around in 1973. So
exactly, so that's what else I was about to touch on, is people who are those diehard fans. That's the first thing that, like, they've ever seen like this before. So, I appreciate it for what it was. No, I wouldn't say it's the scariest exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah, that's a really scary one.
That's my shit.
Okay.
But I appreciate for the doors that it opened.
Okay.
Yeah, the late groundwork.
Yes.
Lou.
Love this movie. Honestly, like, watching so many horror movies, few scare me. But the first time I saw The Exorcist, it did scare me. And, like, because, like, possession films freak me out, I think this is, like, one of the best ones ever.
Now, the first time I saw the extended version with her walking backwards upside down, that scared the crap out of me more so than the regular version.
Yeah, because that was not in the original theatrical.
But Fuego, go ahead. Your thoughts?
It's iconic. I mean, and culturally, there were people protesting it. They were getting, like, they had priests coming on, actual priests coming and blessing the set and stuff like that, because they were really worried. They were messing with forces they really shouldn't.
People died.
Yeah, there's a curse. Yeah, there's like an Exorcist curse thing.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I can't
Same with Poltergeist.
Huh?
Yeah, and I can also, I mean, once we get in the story, just kind of relate to basically person being portrayed, our main priest character, and him like kind of wrestling with his faith a little bit, and that being like a really. Well, Marsha, I'll throw the ball to you.
Sorry, I don't mean to fuck with you.
No, you're good.
You know, the first time I watched this, I expected it to be scarier than it was. It really didn't faze me. I do appreciate this movie. I really do. I think it's a fantastic movie, but it's not something that scares me. Possession doesn't scare me at all, unless it's a possessed doll, apparently. But no, like, I thought, you know, overall, I enjoyed the film. I think that when I sat down to watch it, you know, I was told that I was going to be scared. So when I watched it, I was like, this isn't scary.
Do you watch it in the dark? Do you watch it in the dark?
Yeah.
Okay, just asking.
He's like trying so hard.
Because I watched it in the dark.
How old were you?
Oh, I was like 19 or something.
I was 12 watching it in the dark. Like, Die Hard scary.
Volume turned
That is
up.
tough though, because there's a lot of people who say this is the scariest movie of all time, and if you go in after hearing that and you've watched a ton of horror movies already, you might not think it's the scariest movie.
I started watching horror movies when I was younger, and then, like, you know, and around that time frame was when I started getting introduced to things like Amityville Horror, which, like, got me. And then Evil Dead and things like that. And so when I saw this, I was like, it's a classic, blah, 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 and I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, I don't see the big deal. But I've never been really religious, and so like that part didn't get me. And I feel like if you're spiritual and then and you were fed like demons, this would be really terrifying.
Like if you're Catholic, this movie scares
I'm
the hell
like,
out of me.
Almost
I didn't even-
Catholic. I'm not Catholic. I'm Christian, but
No,
it's close
but you
enough.
grew
I
up in a
suppose.
very religious household.
Reformed Baptist, yeah. So this is the kind of movie that just the utter idea of seeing something like this would frighten my mother beyond belief. You know, I mean, seriously, playing with
And I
forces
get
you
that.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also think that when you put something like this to screen, you're almost giving power to the real stuff it's based off of, and I mean.
Oh, dear Lord! I remember the first time your parents saw me.
Yeah, as you were wearing a pentagram.
Yeah.
So let's get into the I mean, just real quick, the story is obviously a classic. You guys know there's a young girl that's been possessed, and
Reagan, right?
Reagan. They enlist the help of two priests, an older and a younger priest. One is fairly new into the whole organization. The other is quite old, and basically they're fighting for the life of this young Reagan as she is possessed by a demon by the name of Pazuzu, whose head I
Howdy.
have
Sounds like
in
a
the
clown.
other room.
Pazuzu.
Call him
The
Captain.
clown.
Just call him Captain Howdy.
Yeah, Captain Hattie.
Close enough.
Howdy.
So yeah, that's what this story is about, and I think it's a classic. It's an utter classic. I mean, there's not much else to say besides it unfolds in a very dramatic but thrillerific, tension building kind of way. It's where I think they sort of separated typical paranormal movies from demonic movies. That's where I think the subgenres split, in my opinion, because this became its own whole thing, as opposed to just a scary ghost story.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be different. A ghost of a person is one thing. A demon from hell is something way bigger to be messing with.
Interesting. Okay, interesting viewpoint. I don't know that it's bigger to be messing with, but okay.
Well,
it's a separate discussion.
Supposedly more powerful.
Yeah, let's not get into that because I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, you might not.
Don't get
Coming
Susie
from your
started.
religious
Anything that's
background,
like-
maybe you think so, but some
I
people
think,
might consider the ghostly aspect to be more
I
powerful.
think one of the coolest things about this movie is like the reason why it was so successful, not because it was scary, but it was also like a blockbuster horror film. And
It's
it
sort of
wasn't.
top,
It wasn't. No, I mean,
like-
it still wasn't. Jaws was the first.
Yeah, but
big
like,
budget
I mean, this
blockbuster.
movie.
Or not even big budget.
I mean, this movie was
first
seen by a
blockbuster.
lot of people.
But this was
and, like,
huge. It was the biggest horror movie for a long time.
Yeah.
It's
Even
still
after.
in
And
like,
that was
one of the
rare.
top 10
Yeah.
top-grossing films.
Yeah,
Especially
in
adjusted.
history.
Yeah, and
horror
that
films.
was weird at that time, especially for a horror film. So,
Yeah, it got
like,
Oscar
I mean, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very
that too.
sophisticated movie. You know?
So your guys' overall thoughts on the story? I mean, everyone's in agreement that it's
Stupid.
I
amazing.
thought it was interesting because rewatching it, I'm like, this is definitely. I don't know. Maybe I'm just different, but I felt it was kind of like a
definitely
coming of age story in a way too, because the mom has this view of her daughter, and she's just young and
That is
innocent.
seriously the best way to describe teenage
then-
girls.
And then she starts
What
masturbating.
teenage girl
way
doesn't
worse
go
than
through
it.
the crucifix fucking stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
way worse than your
Like,
typical
I just don't
puberty, so.
understand you. What's wrong?
That is the best. I cannot look at this
Yeah.
movie any other way now.
Yeah.
What you just described.
Yeah, I mean,
Period.
obviously, it's a different way of expressing that transition from child to adulthood. But yeah, it really felt that way.
It is, because like you meet Reagan and she's like this sweet, smiling, innocent girl.
And then she gets
She's
sued.
rude,
Yeah,
period.
and then all of a
See the
sudden,
dark side.
and then all of a sudden she's like, sucking cock and masturbating, and you're like, I don't understand
Yeah,
you.
talking to priests like she shouldn't
This is
be.
a very more aggressive message, Buffy.
All I know is now both of my girls on their 13th birthdays, I'm nailing them into their room the night before.
Strap them up.
And I'm
Yeah.
leaving.
Hide all the crosses.
My girls?
No
Yes.
Ouija boards.
Okay, so any other particular story thoughts before we get into effects and,
No,
and
let's
by God, music?
My God.
I mean, the music, the score in this one
Score,
is
it's considered
widely
one of the
considered
iconic.
one of the top horror scores of all time. Yeah,
Who was the
exactly.
composer?
It's what is it? The bells, something bells. Is it Carol of the Bells?
No, what? No.
No, that's the Christmas
That's the
song.
Christmas
Yeah.
song.
That's right.
Wow.
I mixed that up because we listened to the horror version for the Midnight Syndicate thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No, it's something of, I think it's Tubular Bells. Tubular Bells, that's what it is.
Singular.
Yeah, I know. That's why I always remembered it. Tubular Bells. I knew there was bells, damn it. So yeah.
Bells.
That's a quality music, and obviously the music. It was pretty light on the music during the intense scenes. There were some horror stings and things like that, when like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
at,
like
at
beat sound
appropriate
effects like we
times.
hear,
But not a lot by way of actual score outside of that. The tubular bells.
Well, yeah, it's the signature callback throughout. It's used throughout various points of the film, if I recall correctly. So, I mean, yeah, and with good reason. That only ups the iconic nature of it if you hear it a ton in the movie. So it's ingrained itself in the brain a lot better.
Some say that it's one of the best horror soundtracks of all time. I don't know that it tops that list, but
I mean, it's up.
You
It's up
have
there.
those
It's up there.
diehard fans. You know what I mean?
It's
They
true.
saw it
It's
first,
true.
and that's one thing
It's
that's
up
going to
there.
resonate with them for the rest of their lives.
Well, it's up there with Halloween and stuff like that. That is
Jaws.
the most,
Jaws,
the most
I still think Jaws is the best.
Jaws, I think, is
think
the
Jaws
top
is
of
the
all
Jaws
time.
is the top, absolutely.
Like, whether you like the movie or not. Like, that's...
Those two notes alone are the most
Oh, yeah.
recognizable notes in
And-
all of
yeah.
cinema.
I think it's Phantasm.
That's,
No.
see, that's why we didn't go with your answer in the debate.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
boys,
still
calm
trying.
down, calm down. Holy crap.
Throwing shade.
All right,
so
anyway.
continuing on, let's talk about the effects, because
Yeah.
these are very early but outstanding demonic, transformation effects for Reagan as she progressively got worse. I think they've actually gotten even crazier with it for the Exorcist TV series that they did.
Yeah.
How they had progressive stages even more, but they had a full season to fill, so they could do that. Whereas Reagan just had to transform relatively quickly. But she was still, I mean, that image of Reagan is one of the top horror images. Like that would be, you know what? Maybe we should do the top 10 horror still frames of all time. Like
Yeah,
just the
that's a
best
good
single
one.
Is it the
shot.
one of her
The
tied
head.
with the thing?
No, probably
either
the head turned around.
Yeah, maybe the head turn, or maybe the one where she just a vision of Reagan. I'm not sure
Yeah.
which would be the best one,
The
but
stairs.
yeah.
Her peeing herself.
The crucifix midair.
There you go.
So yeah, and the effects though. Your guys' thoughts?
I thought they were perfect for the time.
Yeah.
Perfect. Loved it for the time.
Is that old school slimy?
Again, it was the first. And you had people
Look.
fainting.
Yeah.
And all that, but
makeup.
the actress went through hell.
Oh yeah.
So
She
you know
was
the
done,
makeup's good
obviously.
when the actor's like,
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. Like, no.
And for the sequel,
Yeah.
I
We got
refuse to
this.
be under any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Really, in comparison.
It probably changed makeup effects so they know how can we do this where they don't suffer as
Oh
much.
yeah, because I mean, again, it was like the real, true first of its kind like that. So they really have nothing to kind of go off of.
Yeah.
So that's really, really astounding to me.
Okay. Any others? Any
That's
other
good.
thoughts?
It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good. I like it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a whole lot else to talk about. I mean,
The cinematography.
oh, the acting too. I guess.
Yeah,
we're
the
gonna talk about the
acting.
acting,
Oh yeah.
Well, the acting, I mean,
Top
acting
notch
from
actors, man.
Linda Blair, right?
Yeah.
Incredibly convincing for a girl of her age. My goodness. And some of the lines that they give her to deliver, you know exactly where Stephen King derived the way that he had the resurrected characters talk in Pet Sematary. He totally borrowed it from this movie, man. I mean, there's all that different stuff. I mean, yeah, and she sells it very well, and I really like the heroicism of the albeit reluctantly, at least initially, of our main priest, you know, and
Well, the mom was a
The
real
mom
good
was
actress.
really
she
too.
had to be a trooper to deal with
What's
that.
her name?
I can't
I don't
recall.
know.
I mean, I just
She's
can't
recognizable
imagine
from
like
here.
Yeah.
even acting in this situation, especially now being a mom, like watching your kid go through that, and like to be able to portray that and that fear and that love and just desperation to make it like better and to fix it, and like it was great.
Locking my girls up. That's all I know.
It's going down.
Just don't let them mess with Ouija boards or anything.
Take the mirrors away.
She knows.
Why would you
So
do that?
cinematography is phenomenal as well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's old school, directed by Billy Friedkin, who's
Yeah.
notoriously a very rough director. Like, there was a time where the mom gets thrown back into the wall, and apparently they did that a number of times, and she like complained about the heart, and she's like, "This is getting too hard." She told the director. He's like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We'll go easy next time." And then he went back and told the guys, like, yank the shit out of her. And they fucking did, and that's the take where she actually injures herself. That's the take that they put in the movie.
It's one of those like Hitchcock directors.
Yeah, he's one of
like,
those.
Oh, it hurts.
So-
It hurts.
Yeah. Or like Tarantino with Uma Thurman.
Use it.
So that's that. You know, so
Yeah.
the performance was real from her. That's for sure. But
The butter scene.
I mean, the movie is just it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's one of the top ones. I mean, it's definitely. I don't know that it's my top 5, but it's in probably my top 10.
It's a
horror
good
movies.
Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It's classic, and it holds
It's like
up.
a
It's another
sleepover
one that holds
movie
up.
too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is.
Pretty much
Well-
anything from the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, they just went so meh with the sequel. Although I do honestly like the third one with George C. Scott.
Was that Heretic? The third one?
Heretic was the
The
second
Heretic.
one.
The second one?
Second
That-
one.
that was
Because
the
I
second
keep hearing
one.
the third
That was the one where they
is,
brought
like,
Linda
really
Blair
good.
back.
Yeah, Linda Blair came back in the second one.
I don't think
Yeah,
I ever
and
watched
it
the
was-
second or third one.
See,
Well,
I've
and it
never
was-
seen any of the sequels.
I liked
and this was-
Domain too.
This was based on a novel too, and I know that the writer did a few sequel novels too, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what.
The
3 was
fourth
based
one they
on.
put out 2 different versions of. They put out
Oh,
Domain, and then they put out
Beginning.
The Exorcist: The Beginning.
Yeah.
One was called Domain, The Exorcist.
I
the other
don't
was
think
called-
I liked either one.
I don't know. It was Exorcist movies,
I don't know.
so I liked it. So
Although the show
The
got a lot
show,
of praise.
season
the
one.
show was
The show
great.
was
Yeah,
amazing.
I like
Season
season
one.
1 and 2. Honestly, they were
I
both.
never
I thought
finished
they
season
did.
2.
I like season 2. Season 1 was better because it was more directly tied in, but
That was
season
with
2
Gina
was still
Davis.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gina Davis playing
Yeah,
Regan.
the second
Yeah.
one wasn't as tight in, but I still.
It's good.
John Cho.
All right, so we'll go ahead and call it there, you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to our patrons for choosing this when they chose it. We greatly appreciate you guys. If you want to become a patron and request movies like this for us to review, you can do so. There's a link down in the description box down below. If you'd rather just support us another way, you can like the video and subscribe to come back and see more like this. If you do so, thank you very much. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Susie Von Slaughter.
Luis Hernandez.
Gracias, Jaime Fuego.
Marsha Parker.
And remember, stay scared.